The airport smelled of roasted coffee and fresh pretzels. The loudspeaker kept repeating boarding calls, mixing with the rush of luggage wheels against the polished floor. To most travelers, it was an ordinary day, but for 14-year-old Derek Johnson, it was a moment he would remember for the rest of his life. Before we dive into this powerful story, let me ask you something. Where are you watching from today? Drop your country or city in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories reach. And if you enjoy inspiring stories like this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Derek clutched his small, worn backpack, the one with a stitched Superman patch his mom had sewn on years ago. He wasn't just excited. He was nervous. This was his first time flying alone. His mother, a nurse who worked long night shifts, had hugged him tightly at the drop-off zone earlier. "You're smart, Derek," she whispered. "Remember, just pay attention. And call me when you land in New York." That was her thing, always telling him to pay attention. She believed that being observant could protect him in ways money and power couldn't. As Derek stood in line for boarding, he noticed something unusual. Ahead of him, a tall man with a rough beard and a gray trench coat shifted nervously from foot to foot. He carried a black duffel bag, gripped tightly against his chest as though someone might steal it. Most passengers were scrolling through their phones or yawning, but not this man. He kept glancing over his shoulder, his eyes darting like he expected someone to be following him. Derek tilted his head, curiosity burning inside him. Something about the man's energy just didn't fit in with the rest of the crowd. Derek told himself he was imagining things. After all, airports were filled with all kinds of people. Still, he couldn't look away. When boarding began, Derek found himself just a few rows behind the man with the duffel bag. Their eyes met for a second, and Derek quickly looked down. The man's stare was cold, heavy, and made Derek's chest tighten. Little did Derek know, this moment, this small spark of suspicion, would become the start of a chain of events that would not only change his life but save the life of one of the world's richest men. On board, Derek found his seat near the back of the economy section. He had a clear view of the aisle and, more importantly, of the man with the duffel bag, who sat just 3 rows ahead. The stranger's behavior grew stranger still. While passengers settled in, laughing, opening magazines, tugging headphones on, the man sat stiffly, clutching the bag to his chest. His eyes flicked nervously toward the cockpit, then toward the emergency exits, like he was calculating something. A flight attendant leaned in with her usual smile. "Sir, can I take your bag to the overhead compartment?" "No," the man balked, startling her. He forced a tight smile. "I mean, no, thank you. I'll hold on to it." The attendant hesitated but moved on. Derek's stomach knotted. He couldn't shake the feeling something was wrong. Meanwhile, in first class, a man few passengers recognized sat quietly reading financial reports. He wore a tailored suit, his silver watch gleaming. His name was Richard Wallace, billionaire entrepreneur and founder of one of the world's biggest tech empires. To most of the world, Richard Wallace was untouchable, a man who dined with presidents, owned islands, and made billion-dollar deals. But on this flight, he was just another traveler, sipping water before takeoff. He had no idea his life would soon depend on a 14-year-old boy seated in economy. The plane taxied down the runway. Passengers buckled up, engines roared, and soon the aircraft lifted into the skies. Most people leaned back to relax, but not Derek. His eyes stayed glued to the man with the duffel bag. Every few minutes, the man reached inside, adjusting something metallic. Wires. Derek couldn't tell, but the sight made his pulse quicken. He remembered movies where villains planted bombs in bags. His palms grew sweaty. The man suddenly stood, gripping the bag tightly. He glanced toward the cockpit and began walking down the aisle. Panic surged through Derek. His mother's voice rang in his head. "Pay attention. Don't ignore what you see." His heart thundered. He knew he was just a kid. What if he was wrong? But what if he was right? And then, before his mind could stop him, Derek shot up from his seat and yelled at the top of his lungs. "There is a bomb on the plane! He has a bomb!" Screams filled the cabin. Passengers leapt from their seats, ducking behind chairs, shielding their children. The man froze, clutching the duffel bag tighter. "I don't have a bomb!" he shouted, panic flashing in his eyes. But his trembling hands betrayed him. Two off-duty air marshals, sitting in business class, rushed down the aisle. They tackled the man before he could reach into the bag. A violent struggle broke out, passengers gasping as they wrestled him to the floor. "Get his bag," one marshal barked. Another unzipped the duffel, revealing, not explosives, but something equally dangerous: strange wires, a portable battery pack, and compact electronics connected to a laptop. The passengers gasped. A flight attendant whispered in shock, "What is that?" One air marshal's face hardened. "This isn't a bomb. It's worse. It's a device to hack the plane's systems." The discovery sent chills through the cabin. Though not an explosive, the device was capable of overriding navigation controls, effectively hijacking the plane mid-air. The restrained man thrashed, shouting, "You don't understand. He deserves it. That billionaire ruined lives." Confused murmurs rippled through the passengers. Who was he? What billionaire? In first class, Richard Wallace's eyes narrowed. He understood immediately. 4 months, his company had been at war with powerful criminal networks he exposed for fraud and cybercrime. He had received anonymous threats, but he thought they were empty words. Now it was clear. The man's target was him. If the hacker had succeeded, the plane would have been rerouted or crashed, killing Wallace and everyone else aboard. Derek, still standing, realized with a chill that his outburst had stopped something far bigger than he imagined. The plane descended into tense silence as the restrained man was hauled to the back. Flight attendants tried calming panicked passengers. All eyes turned to Derek. He shrank under the attention, wishing he could disappear. But then someone clapped. Another joined in. Soon the cabin filled with applause. "You saved us," a woman cried, hugging him. "Smart kid," muttered a man in a business suit, patting his shoulder. From first class, Richard Wallace rose. The billionaire walked down the aisle slowly, his presence commanding. He knelt by Derek's seat, meeting his wide, anxious eyes. "Young man," Wallace said gently, "you didn't just save this plane. You saved my life." Derek blinked in disbelief. "Why your life?" Wallace nodded. "I'm Richard Wallace. And that man, he wasn't after just anyone." Gasps spread among the passengers as they realized who sat among them. Derek had unknowingly protected one of the world's richest and most influential men. The pilots, shaken but composed, rerouted the flight to the nearest secure airport. Fighter jets escorted them until landing. On the ground, flashing police lights, FBI agents, and reporters awaited. The restrained hacker was dragged off in chains. Derek, still clutching his backpack, stumbled into the media storm. Microphones and cameras pointed at him instantly. "Son, how did you know?" a reporter asked. Derek's voice shook, but his words were clear. "I just paid attention. My mom always told me to notice things. I saw something wrong, and I couldn't stay quiet." The clip went viral within hours. News anchors hailed him a hero. Social media buzzed with hashtags. Hashtag HeroBoy, hashtag Planesaver, hashtag Derek Johnson. Standing beside him, Richard Wallace declared publicly, "This boy's courage saved hundreds of lives, including mine. He is a true hero." Back home in Atlanta, Derek's neighborhood cheered his return. But Wallace didn't stop at praise. Days later, he personally visited Derek's home. The billionaire saw their small, worn apartment. He met Derek's mother, a tired woman who worked herself to the bone. He realized this boy's bravery came from values instilled in hardship, not privilege. At a press conference, Wallace announced, "I will sponsor Derek Johnson's education, from high school to university. And in his honor, I am creating the Derek Johnson Scholarship Fund, to give other kids like him a chance at a future." Tears filled Derek's mother's eyes. She had raised her son to be observant, brave, and honest, and now the world was rewarding him. Years later, Derek stood on a stage, graduating with honors in cybersecurity. Reporters still asked him about that flight, about the day he shouted, "Bomb," and saved lives. He always answered humbly, "I wasn't brave because I wasn't scared. I was terrified." But courage means acting anyway. Richard Wallace remained in Derek's life, not just as a benefactor but as a mentor, a father figure. Together, they launched initiatives to protect youth and improve aviation security. Every time Derek boarded a plane, he remembered that day, the bag, the man, the shout that changed everything. And he smiled, knowing that sometimes the smallest voice can stop the biggest disaster. Derek was just a boy, but he proved that age, status, and background don't determine a hero. Sometimes, the world changes because one person dares to speak when everyone else stays silent. If this story touched your heart, let me know in the comments below. What would you have done if you were in Derek's shoes? Your opinion matters. And remember, every like, comment, and share helps us grow this channel and bring you more inspiring stories. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because the next story might just change your perspective on life.